live. What is going on, everyone? Thank you all so much for tuning in at this time. Everybody that's here, greatly appreciate it. Anybody watching this on the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, we're here, back. Wanted to kind of talk about the offseason, dive into the good, the bad, the in-between. Of course, hear all your thoughts and opinions. Let me know down in the chat. Also, we are inching closer and closer to training camp and then preseason and all that stuff. First game is October 1st. And so we'll get back to doing the watch-along streams as well as the post-game streams. So make sure you guys check out those. Try to do every game or as many games as I possibly can this year, as well as the post-game stream. So we'll go back-to-back streams. So make sure you're tuning in and watching along. No, obviously, look, this offseason did not go as planned, right? A lot of hope of a trade, something getting done. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of expectations, a lot of conversations about a trade getting done, and lo and behold, nothing ended up happening, right? It was disappointing, right? Very lackluster. But I do think that there are some positives. I do think there are some pros, right? First off, with the trade front, obviously, trades take two sides, right? Rob Pelinka said that, teams aren't really willing to deal with the Lakers, right? Like, the Laker tax seems to be a real thing. Now, I know some people don't like that as an excuse, but, again, like, are we supposed to overpay for mediocre talent? Again, like, we could go get a deal done for Jeremy Grant right now, but it costs 2 firsts. Is it worth giving up 2 firsts to go and get Jeremy Grant? Like, I think Jeremy Grant makes it better, but how much better? I don't think he makes it that much better, right? Like, so you start going down the list and you start kind of evaluating these trade situations. Like, Lakers likely need multiple trades if they want to get there. They need to do something like Dallas did last year, where they got PJ Washington and followed that up with Daniel Gafford or whatever it was. Maybe it was Daniel Gafford first, but get my point, right? Getting 2 quality guys that fit with the core guys that we already have that can make an immediate impact. As far as like the Lakers season in general goes, I still believe in this team. Like, again, I don't think they're a top 3 to 5 team, but I do think you still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You get the right matchups. You get into the playoffs. I like how we match up against guys. I think JJ Redick will be better, right? A lot of people, talk about how Darvin Ham, like, if we had a better coach, we could have won, right? Well, you can't say that and then go, if JJ's better, right, that we're going to still be bad, right? Like, I mean, the Lakers won 47 games last year. I know a lot of people look at these other teams that got better. A lot of teams, like Denver, got worse. I think they're still going to be very good, but they got worse. Clippers got worse, right? I think Clippers might be a good regular season team because they got a lot of young talent, right? Like, so now they got guys that can't carry the workload, but can Kawhi Leonard stay healthy, right? What about James Harden? Sacramento, I've gone over and over how I think that there's a real genuine argument that they could have gotten worse. Dallas, I mean, even Mark Cuban talked about how he hopes, right? Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, Clay makes us so much better. He was like, maybe. Right? I don't know. I think Lakers are going to be pretty good. The Lakers obviously have a grueling schedule to start the season. So there's no downtime. Like, we don't have, hey, you got a couple key games, but outside of that, like, we can kind of take our time, kind of get into the rhythm and flow of things. No, it's go. It's go time. We don't have time right out the gate. Our first game is against Minnesota, right? Like, we don't have time to mess around here. We got to get and start our punch immediately, right? So hopefully it all works out. But no, I'll talk about more points and get into more of the nitty gritty through the comments, because I'm sure many of you are going to talk about points that I want to talk about and dive into. So let's jump into the comments. Of course, hear your thoughts and opinions. Also, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's go. So, this offseason has been more than disappointing. That word is an understatement. I don't see us making a move till the deadline, and even then, I don't see us making a move. There is a genuine question on if it's even worth the Lakers making a move at this point, right? Unless asking prices really drop or, somebody super impactful does become available, it's tough, right? Like, because again, like, Lakers could go get Jeremy Grant right now, but how much better does he make us? And is he really worth the assets that it would take to go get him right now? It's not. Right now, if that asking price drops and you can get a Jeremy Grant and a Wendell Carter Jr. or something, then yeah, now I think the Lakers are starting to climb. Now I think the Lakers are in that conversation. So I do think Rob at this point is best to be patient. I think it is in his best interest to remain patient. But it also it's going to be interesting to see how the offseason goes. It has been disappointing, of course, right? We all kind of expected the Lakers to make a big splash. We expect the Lakers to do something early on. There was all the talks about, Lakers, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron's willing to take a discount. LeBron's willing to do this, do that. And ultimately, we ended up getting nothing done. So obviously, that in and of itself was a big disappointment. But I do think that the Lakers will navigate it and figure it out. But time will tell. Let's see. Rob clearly doesn't care about the team or want to win. He's stupid if he thinks he could actually get Luka. I mean, the Luka thing was just kind of a throwaway for after LeBron. It's not for this season. It's when Luka is a free agent trying to woo him. But several other teams will as well. I don't think it's Rob doesn't care about the team or he wants to win. I mean, again, Rob's made a trade every year he's been in office. Outside of last year, but last year was the run it back year. And I do think that they should have done the DeJounte Murray trade, but it just didn't work out. Outside of last season, he's done a move every single year. So he said nothing's there, right? Like, we don't know what the conversations are. I understand the frustration. I'm with you. Like, I understand the frustration, but it's hard to know because we're not in the room. So all we can do is take his word for it. Again, but even the reports from sides, like even Portland insiders are like, Portland's crazy asking for 2 firsts. Like literally Portland people are like, dude, just get rid of Jeremy Grant. Lakers are willing to give you a first, take the first. But Portland doesn't want to do it. Portland doesn't want to do it. And, you still have like the Nets and all these things. Like, again, going and getting Cam Johnson, the Lakers aren't that much better. Like, I think they'd be better, but I don't think now, there they go. Like, that's the move they needed. There is no one singular move right now, in my opinion, that makes the Lakers a bona fide contender. I think the closest, like the best chance of that happening, I think is Zach LaVine, just because offensively and what he can do, and him kind of just being able to focus on what he does best and being such a big need for the Lakers. And if Jared Vanderbilt's healthy and stuff like that, I think you'd have a nice balance. But outside of that, but even that's a risk in and of itself, right? Like, I just think, who are the Lakers supposed to trade for that's worth it is my problem. It's my concern. I think the Lakers will be a top 4 to 6 team. I really do. I think, again, maybe it's just me being overly optimistic and hopeful, but I think when all's said and done, I think the Lakers will be at worst top 6. It would be an F if we didn't get rid of Ham. I feel that. Rob and Jeannie can't hide their incompetence anymore. Definitely frustrating. Been waiting for one of these live streams. Appreciate you. Yeah, I know. I'm definitely, like I said earlier, I know we got more people in the stream again. I'm definitely going to do like the post-game live streams. We're going to do some watch-along streams, all that stuff. Try to do as many watch-along streams. I'll definitely do post-game streams every time. Watch-along streams, I'll try to do as much as I can. It's, usually the game's like right in the middle of like me being dad and stuff. So it's not always easy for me to do the watch-along streams, but try my best to do the watch-along streams. And then, of course, the post-game streams. Definitely do that. So we'll be doing a lot of live streams. We'll get back to heavy live streams. I know in the off season I don't live stream as much unless it's like something significant or important, but it's also kind of my downtime because I live stream so much during the regular season that I kind of like, all right, let me just kind of focus on videos. Tyler, that wasn't Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper's beautiful. Dr. Pepper, first off, pal, okay, Dr. Pepper will never be replaced. There's nothing better than Dr. Pepper, but it's been a long day. I need some energy. So these are like the little energy drinks. So it's just like water with like caffeine in it. I actually like the red ones better than ice. I've drank these a million times. Usually they're red because I usually drink the red ones, but like they were out of the red ones because I buy it in like bulk. They're out of like the bulk red, so I got the blue ones. Blue raspberry. But it's like the black ice cherry or whatever. Those ones are really good. Also, I should probably mention, I'm not sponsored by them, just like drinking them. But if you ever want to sponsor me, hey, I'll take that sponsorship. I don't really do sponsorships, but for something that I actually use every day. I'm going to beat the daylights out in Grand Theft Auto 4 into the Lakers winning a title 18. You go for it. Sorry, that comment could have went south quick. Okay, I was like, oh, what am I starting to read here? All right, I was like, what did you just get me into? I disagree. He's worth it to me. I mean, maybe that's fine. I'm sure there's other people that disagree as well. I don't. Right, like Jeremy Grant, the defense is concerning. His age is concerning. He hasn't been a model of health lately, right? Like, again, like people are worried about like Zach LaVine and his health concerns, right? Jeremy Grant hasn't been this like super. Here, let's see, hasn't been this super model of health. Let's see. Now I know some people will argue like, oh, well, he's on a bad team that wants to tank, but it's not like they just sat him for the fun of it. Yeah, he played 54 games last year, 63 games, 47 games, 54 games. Zach LaVine has played more games in that time period. Last time he played more than 63 games was in 2019-2020, in which he played 71 games. In 2017 and 2018, he played 80 and 81 games. If he get back to that, that would be nice. But again, Jeremy Grant hasn't been this like model of health. So you're going to give up all your picks, everything for a guy that has played 50 games a year. Is that really like worth it? I don't think so. I'd rather go get Zach LaVine and not have to give up any picks. You have to give up the same amount of players, right? So I'd rather do that and keep all your picks and go get a guy in Zach LaVine who can handle the scoring punch. GTA 4. Rob has been preaching the same thing, patience mantra for 2 seasons now. He's ran out of rope. Yeah, but if nothing's there, nothing's there. Like, is he supposed to just do a trade just to do a trade? Like, again, I want a trade. We need a trade. We definitely need a trade, and I want a trade. But, like, again, if nothing's there, nothing's there. You're hoping somebody breaks. You're hoping somebody falls apart. If no one does, are you supposed to just overpay for people? I don't trust Zach LaVine because I know he's not been super injury prone, but if he gets injured or doesn't play well, then we're stuck with him until this contract. Yeah, but it's the same thing with all these guys, right? Like if you go and trade for Jeremy Grant, you're stuck with him, right? Like if you go and trade, at least you don't have to give up picks for Zach LaVine. You have to give up assets to go get these other guys, right? So like again, Jeremy Grant, as I mentioned, like he's averaging like 50 games a season, right? Like Zach LaVine's played more than that, right? Like, so my thing is like, no matter who you trade for, you're probably stuck with, right? Unless they're expiring. Like if you trade for Bruce Brown, you could just let him walk and you free up cap space, but you gave up assets for him, right? Like if you go get Cam Johnson's another one. Cam Johnson's only playing like 40 games a season or 50 games a season. Let's look up Cam Johnson here because that's my point. Like I would rather take the chance on the biggest upside. Right? Give me the guy with the biggest upside and potential impact and the cheapest, right? Like, so not only is he the biggest upside and potential, but he's also the cheapest. Would it cost us? We wouldn't have to sell the farm to go get Zach LaVine, right? So even Cam Johnson, he played 58 games, 25 games. That was combined years. So 42 games. So he played 58 games, 42 games, 66 games, 60 games, and 57 games. He has never played more than 66 games in his career. That wasn't just the last 5 years. That was his entire career, right? Like all of these guys are like, but that's just the thing, period. The days of guys playing 82 games doesn't exist anymore, right? Like outside of like Austin Reeves and like Mikal Bridges, it just doesn't happen, right? So my thing is like, no matter who you trade for, you're probably stuck with them. So give me the guy with the biggest upside is my point. If getting any good free agents in the future. Well, that's the thing too. Like, so there's genuine argument to be made of, do you just ride this season out, right? You'd have D'Lo falling off the books, plus all your vet minimum guys. You would have You'd have Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent on expiring deals now. So teams might be more willing to take them on salary-wise. And LeBron James can opt out of his contract and take a discount for whatever you need. And there's guys like, you do a Steph trade. Kyrie Irving could potentially, if he wanted to, become available, and the Lakers could free up the money to sign him, right? Like, so there is an argument. Do the Lakers, free agency next season is just better, right? So there is an argument. Do the Lakers just kind of ride this season out? It could be a lost season. It could not. And then make all the big moves next season. I mean, LeBron was willing to take $20 million less to go get Valanciunas, DeMar DeRozan, or Klay Thompson. You don't think he'd do that to go get Steph or go get Kyrie or somebody like that, right? Like, probably. And you'd still have Gabe, like if you just sign Kyrie out, you'd still have Gabe Vincent and Rui Hachimura that you could go and trade and leverage, right? Like maybe you work out a sign and trade deal or something to go get Kyrie so you can make some other moves and stuff. Because LeBron's the key, or I keep doing it backwards. LeBron's the key, right? Like you have essentially 50, 60, so 70, it's like 75 million falling off the books you could have. So I don't know. I mean, again, I wouldn't count on it, but just something to keep in mind. If we end up the 6th seed, I'll be happy. I don't have any higher expectations. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think 4 to 6, I think is realistic. Now, does that mean that it's a lock? No, of course. Could they, injuries or just disaster happens or whatever? Yeah, of course. But that's the thing. 30 million difference? Are you talking about, who are you talking about? You're talking about between who? Who's the 30 million difference? Bruce Brown just got knee surgery too. That's a good point too. But that's my point. Like everybody that's available are all available for a reason, right? Like it's not like these guys are available because they want it out. They're available because teams are trying to they're all in bad teams that are trying to retool, right? And they're all in bad contracts and they're trying to get off of the bad contracts, but they want compensation like they're on great contracts, right? So that's my thing. I don't hate that the Lakers haven't done anything because I just don't think anything's been worth it. I want to see them do something. I'd love it. But again, going and getting, Jeremy Grant or going and getting, Zach LaVine or whatever, I just don't think that alone solves everything. Now, if you get Jeremy Grant and Bruce Brown and, if he's healthy and his knees are fine and everything, then yeah, I think we're fine, right? But I think it just depends. You got to get multiple trades. Truth, most of the trades this offseason have been terrible. Max Christie plus a healthy Gabe Vincent will make the league. But I mean, look, I've said the same thing. No trades have really. So the only real trades, I trade you guys for my guys type deals, was DeJounte Murray and then Mikal Bridges. But Mikal Bridges was an insane overpay, right? Everyone was worried that would set the market, and everyone was just like, oh, that's another Rudy Gobert trade, right? So the Mikal Bridges trade was a complete outlier. So really, the only reasonable trade was the DeJounte Murray trade. All the other trades were all free agency signings. Just the free agent wanted to get more money, right? It was DeMar DeRozan on a sign and trade deal, and then it was Klay Thompson on a sign and trade deal. All these moves were sign and trade deals. They weren't, straightforward trades. Everybody that was available last offseason, besides DeJounte Murray, are all still available. It's literally all the same people, right? Because no one wants these guys. And no one's willing to pay the price that is being asked to be paid for these guys. So, other teams were interested in Jeremy Grant. Other teams were interested in Cam Johnson. But no one's bid, right? Why? Because they're just not worth the price that is being asked. So I don't understand why people I get as Laker fans, we want them to make a trade. We need them to make a trade. But if all these trades were going down and all these realistic prices and the Lakers are just sitting on their thumbs, then yeah, I'd probably feel the same way. I'd probably be like, this is ridiculous. What are the Lakers doing? But they're not. Literally nothing is happening. Nothing. Because all these asking prices are insane right now for guys that aren't worth it. They're not even worth half the price. So it's no one else is willing to overpay. Why do we as a Lakers nation want the Lakers to overpay? Right? And then if it doesn't work, now you're stuck. Now you have no assets to change anything. You don't have the expiry. You're stuck. Man, just imagine if Rob didn't give player options to guys like Cam. and Hayes, we might be talking very different about this season, not title contenders. But we probably have some new additions. Yeah, that I agree. Like that I completely understand because like the player options made no sense. Because if the Lakers, if those guys were good, they would have opted out and went elsewhere, right? For more money. If they were bad, then they would have stayed, right? Like so the player options made no sense regardless, right? Now maybe that was the only way to really sign those guys, but even then, right? Like the only guy that was at the time worth the player option was Christian Wood. Christian Wood was the only guy that if he was like, hey, I'll only sign with you if you give me a player option the second year, he's the only guy at that time that you do that for. Because he's a 17-8 guy, right? And was looked at as like one of the prizes in the offseason, right? Especially at the price you were getting him. Obviously, injuries and stuff like that changed that. But Jackson Hayes wasn't worth the player option. Cam Reddish weren't worth the player option. They were going to get, they were going to get better deals elsewhere. Go get better deals elsewhere, right? Why couldn't we just sign Giannis before the Wizards signed him? Because the Lakers were too busy with DeMar DeRozan and Klay Thompson and all these other guys, chasing the bigger fish. Salute, Chet. What's going on, Tyler? How are you? Happy Friday. Gerald, appreciate you. Thanks so much for being here. And yes, happy Friday to you as well. I am wonderful here doing a little live stream, talking, hanging out with you guys. Got to start getting back into the swing of things. We're getting back into the season. So definitely got to start doing some more live streams and all that stuff. Picking that back up. Should have kept Blake Henson. I agree. I'm disappointed. He signed with the Warriors. Blake Henson signed with the Warriors, which makes sense out of everybody. But you would go? Thank you. I appreciate that. Seriously. Thank you very much. I really do. It's very kind of you. I've given up on Kyrie. I think he's happy there. Man, I would so love if we got Kyrie back. Then I was so mad that he got traded to Dallas. The only thing worth waiting until free agency is the bigger. Yeah, I mean, look, it's just an example of who could potentially be available, right? Like, I'm not saying that the Lakers would get him or that he will be available or anything like that, right? He very well could like it in Dallas. It's just names that could potentially be available. The Lakers could potentially get, but I would love Kyrie. The Nets just being annoying. No way you can't let go of Day'Ron Sharpe and Finney Smith if you're tanking. Exactly. I mean, the entire roster, right? Like, you're supposed to be hitting a rebuild. You're supposed to be tanking. You're supposed to be trying to go get why am I blanking on his name? Cooper Flag, right? Like, you're supposed to be doing all this stuff, and you're holding on to all these guys. They should have traded those guys last year, and they didn't. And they're acting like no one is willing to give Dorian Finney-Smith for a first. Nobody. They've shopped it to every team in the league, and everyone's like, nah, hard pass. But they're just like, really, like somebody's going to give us a first for it. Like, it's like a broken car that they're trying to sell as new. Like we can all see that it's broken. Like, we're not paying you $30,000 for this car. Like, it's worth $2,000. Like, but for whatever reason, the Nets just really believe that, like, oh, people are going to start paying them all this money for Sharpe and Finney and all these guys. It's silly. It really is. It's silly at this point. Name stars tend to sign extensions with their teams before they hit free agency. Like this year, it said if no extension, then may have been 10 all stars would be available. No one seems to yet. Usually. Want to hit free agency? Yeah, because they want to get the bag. It's the sign now, request the trade later. After the Westbrook trade, I don't want the Lakers to make a trade. Just make a trade. Yeah, I feel it. Again, like, no trade is better than a bad trade, right? As much as we want to trade. Look, I'm Mr. Trade Guy, right? Like, I want to trade too. Oh, that's more just for conversation's sake, right? Especially when there's not really much to talk about. But, like, in general, it's like, do the Lakers need a trade? Absolutely. Should they? No. Like, if unless something actually becomes available that's viable and makes sense, right? That's my point, right? Like, again, at the time, given the context of the time, Christian Wood was the only guy that if if the only way to get him was a player option the second year, then you give it to him, right? Jackson Hayes and Cam Reddish, they made no sense, right? Because again, either they were going to be better than their contract and gotten new contracts elsewhere, or they would have been, bad and no one wanted them and they would opt in, which they did, right? So the player options made 0 sense for Hayes and Reddish, right? 0 sense. So, but here we are. Of course, that's the only thing that is incredibly frustrating to me. I don't know why the Lakers have traded for Zach LaVine already. Like, bro, the Bulls are even willing to add a few seconds or a first just to get off his contract. Bro, I mean, that's been my thing too. My guess is the Lakers are trying to see if there's multiple, because if you trade for Zach LaVine this season, that's probably it. Like, could you go get a Walker Kessler or something like that? Sure. But the only other guy you're going to get is super cheap, and you got to be able to fill out a roster. So my guess, if I had to guess, either the Lakers are too concerned, right? All right. So here, there's probably a better way to explain it. If you're the Lakers, do you make the trade now and take the risk that Zach LaVine is healthy and ready to go? Or do you wait, see what his production is, right? And then in December or whatever, now you go and make that move, right? So do you get him right now? And maybe I should even make a video about this. See, look, give me video ideas. Do you make the trade right now and run the risk that, he's coming off of surgery and all that stuff, that he's healthy and he's ready to go and comes back and plays game busters out the gate? Or do you play safe side, let him do what he's doing right now for, first 2-3 months of the season, and then make that move? And in the meantime, you can kind of monitor and see if anything else, right? Maybe you can get 3 guys and only give up a first or something, or 2 firsts, right? And play the patient game, and maybe something develops, right? That is probably my guess of why the Lakers probably haven't done it yet, if I had to guess. The Nets are asking for 20 picks for 3 and D role guys. It is. It's crazy. It is. Their asking price is insane. I mean, again, they're another team where even their fans are just trade these guys. Get whatever you can get, right? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. When's the training camp trades at Maine? Hopefully it's coming. Hopefully they're working behind the scenes. Maybe we get that Rui deal where it was dead silent and then boom, right? You never know. I'm not saying we need a third star, but come one, we literally had the recipe for 2020 season. Take that, add a few key pieces, and bring out the best we got to offer. Yeah, I mean, again, LeBron and Anthony Davis have shown you with the right pieces around them that they can win, right? So it's just finding those right pieces. It's finding those pieces that can come through. I mean, I still believe a 3-star model can work. I just think you have to have the complementary pieces. A lot of people look at Phoenix and go look at Phoenix as proof that it doesn't work. No, because if you look at all the successful big threes throughout history, they've all played different positions, had different skill sets, and usually meshed together, right? You think of Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, KG, right? You think of, LeBron, AD, or LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. You think of, LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love. You think of, all of these big threes that have happened, right? Even the Warriors, right? With Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. Yes, they were similar, but they were all very unselfish. They all were such efficient shooters that it was able to work. There's reasons. You look at the Suns, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are the same player, and neither is good enough to, as a playmaker, to slide to the point and actually make plays, and neither are big enough to play the 3, right? Efficiently, right? And then Kevin Durant is the same player, just at a better scale, right? Just a higher caliber version. So you basically have 3 of the same players. It doesn't make any sense, right? But I think if you were to get, a Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, or a Steph, LeBron, and Anthony, I do think you can win a championship. I'm not saying that they should or that they need to do that. I'm just saying, because, you mentioned a third star. If you were going to go the third star route, I do think a third star route still works. Just has to be the right pieces. The Lakers and the Cowboys are the same team. You're not wrong. I am taking the risk now, so K can be on our actual roster, not roster, on our actual team, and wait until December 15th to get Giannis. That's the thing though. Do they actually? I think that they still need to get a veteran center, but unless they move off of Jackson Hayes. Do you bring in Christian Coloco and then go trade for Giannis Valanciunas, right? Or Jonas Valanciunas, right? Do you do that? Because now you have essentially 3 centers, and Anthony Davis is still going to play center. All right, still going to play center. So, he just doesn't want to play center full time. And sign Jordan Goodwin. Yeah, I like Jordan Goodwin. Especially if we move off of Gabe Vincent and stuff like that. I just got to hope that our continuity from being together another year makes us better than these teams that have no addition. I think it will. I think you're going to have better continuity. You're going to have better coaching, hopefully better health. I know Jared Vanderbilt and, Christian Wood aren't really setting the tone, right? But generally speaking for the team overall, if they can be healthier as a whole, Lakers were what, 3rd in the league or 2nd in the league last year in injuries. So if they can figure that, would be fine. Zach LaVine has a negative contract. So do all these other guys. Jeremy Grant has a negative contract. Cam Johnson, given he only plays 40 games a season, doesn't have a great contract. Again, who's on it? You're getting these guys for a reason. These guys are available for a reason. These guys aren't available because they're on great contracts and these star players that can just change the fate. They all have something wrong with them, right? To me, it's just give me the guy that gives you the best chance. Zach LaVine gives you the best chance, right? Zach LaVine, people want Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. People want Steph, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. Zach LaVine is probably the closest thing you can get to that. And, obviously, again, I'm not saying that he's better or on par, but I'm saying he would be the third guy, right? So fit-wise, he might even be naturally better. Where Kyrie, Kyrie's going to be the third guy, but is he actually able to play as the third guy? Because even in Cleveland with LeBron, he was the second guy, right? Same thing with Steph. So who's number one? So if Anthony Davis is number one or Steph is number, is LeBron going to be the third guy? It's just where Zach LaVine, he would know. Everyone would know Zach LaVine is clearly the third guy. So I think just even the natural fit and what he would give you that Kyrie and Steph would give you, right? Which is that bona fide scorer. The guy played 25 games last year and still dropped a 50 piece, right? People talk about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving averaged what, 14 a game in the finals? Right? He had a 9-point game, a 9-point game. I think it was a 14 or 16-point game. Then he had that 30-point game. And then he had 2, a 15 and 20-point game or whatever. Kyrie wasn't great in the finals. We haven't had a offseason this bad and also this hype in a long time. Yeah, that's the thing. The hype versus offseason has been bad. Right? If it was kind of quiet and nothing happened, then at least the hype in the offseason matched. It's just we had all this hype about, Clay and DeMar and all these guys, and then the end result has been nothing. It's let's see. I'm cool with Zach LaVine, but as long as they give us 2 firsts. I don't see them giving 2 firsts. I don't even really see them giving up 1 first. However, I do think that we can get a couple seconds, which just add more to the pot. And again, you can still do other moves because you trade, say, Rui, D'Lo, and Gabe Vincent, right? Maybe even throw in Jackson Hayes so you can bring in a Coloco or something, right? So get rid of that, bring in Zach LaVine. You still have, Jared Vanderbilt, who the Lakers have been shopping all season, and who knows if he can even stay healthy. Although I like Jared Vanderbilt if healthy alongside Zach LaVine, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, especially with Austin Reeves probably starting the two. But you still have like him, still have, Max Christie if you needed to, although I don't want to trade Max Christie, but if something makes sense and you're kind of all in now, right? Max Christie's making $8 million. Right. So you could get another, without even trading Reeves, get to another 20, 25 million. Right. So that's the question. So you could still go get a Valanciunas if you wanted to, and maybe go get, another guy. Maybe go get a Dorian Finney-Smith, right? Because Dorian Finney-Smith's making what, like 12 million, something like that, right? Future past LeBron. Don't make a trade. Don't make a trade for the sake of making a trade. I agree. 4 years ago today, 80 hit the buzzer beater against Denver in the bubble. Where has the time gone? Man, I missed that team. Yeah. And Anthony Davis has been terrible shooting since, which is great. And that's the thing. Like, Anthony Davis wants to play the four. Sure, I get it. You look at the 2020 season, right? We had success with him playing the four, right? He wants to play more of the four. He doesn't want to be a full-time five. The difference is, though, too, Anthony Davis shot the ball excellent. He was money from like 15 out. He's not anymore. He like completely forgot how to shoot. Like, he shot 28% in threes or 27% in threes, something like that off the top of my head, since the bubble, right? Like, he was shooting in the regular season. He wasn't shooting that great. I think he was like 34% or something like that, 33% on the regular season. But he was like 38% in the bubble, right? Like, literally, he was like lights out in the bubble. Beer of the big three is over. I really don't think so. I really don't, right? Like, again, I mean, we're going to see what does Paul George, Maxey, and Joel Embiid, the big three of like super duper stars, maybe, right? Like, I don't see, whatever, Jokic, Luka, and Anthony Edwards teaming up, sure. But something like Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, I can see happening. Something like where, it's not a full max guy, but he's still like star, borderline star, right? Like Kyrie making 30 million or 25 million, whatever, alongside like LeBron taking a discount, right? Like, and look, there's always going to be guys that want to play together that'll take a discount to make it work, right? I mean, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh did it in Miami, right? Like, there's ways to go about it, but yeah, I think the big three can work if it makes sense. Problem is, a lot of these teams you're seeing trying to make these big threes. I mean, again, you could act like Boston's got a big five, right? Like, it's just, yeah, they don't have any of like super duper stars. Like Tatum, where does he rank? And he's been kind of disappointing, right? But like, no, he's still good. Like, he's a max guy. Same thing with Brown. Say, Porzingis, you got his contract, you got all these guys, right? Like, people don't want to hear it, but if Reeves was available for these trades, we could probably get multiple rotation players without giving up a first. I agree. We could have gotten DeJounte Murray probably without giving up a first. I mean, Atlanta wanted him badly, right? But like, yeah, I mean, if we were willing to trade Austin Reeves, like, we'd probably have all kinds of offers available. I understand why the Lakers don't want to trade Reeves. I get it. His contract, his production. If JJ Redick can kind of get him back. His problem last season was consistency. He was still good for like a bad year. He still gave you 16, 5, and 5. But like, he wasn't aggressive like he was the previous year. Like, a lot of people are like, no, he was fine. Like, he wasn't. If you're just stat watching, yes, he looked, you think he's better than he was the previous year. But if you actually look at the style of play and then go look at when Reeves had his emergence the previous year and go look at his stat line, go look at his production, go look at his efficiency, right? Reeves was aggressive. He was constantly looking, to make a play or get a bucket. He was putting pressure on the defense constantly. Last season, he just kept settling. He's jacking up threes. I mean, the first quarter of the season, he shot 28% from three. And then, I know he finished at like, what was it, 36% or 37%, whatever. But like, he would have these pockets. He'd have like these 5 games where he was like back to Austin Reeves. And then he'd have like 5 games where he's awful, right? Like, unplayably bad, right? It's just like, if Austin Reeves can get back to consistency and being consistent, then I think that he'll make a lot more sense for his contract. And I think the Lakers will be a lot better, right? But also, can he shoot? He just couldn't shoot last year, right? Like, it was terrible. As far as like him trading goes, look, I even said when DeJounte Murray was available, right? Like, you trade Austin Reeves. I like Austin Reeves. I've hyped up Austin Reeves. I've defended Austin Reeves, all that stuff. But who wins a trade? The team that gets the better player. And it's not like it was a player that didn't make sense, right? It wasn't like a Westbrook situation where like Westbrook's better than these guys, but it just doesn't add up. No, like DeJounte Murray was like perfect. Give you that point of attack, athletic guard that we desperately needed. I like Austin Reeves, but D'Angelo Russell is better. He was better. He's been better. Maybe not in the playoffs, but he's been better. He's a better playmaker, better volume shooter, all of that, right? Like, you could have easily just slided him to the 2 and had DeJounte Murray and D'Angelo Russell, right? Like, I would have traded him if I could have, but hit that like button. Yes, SM, thank you so much. Yes, everybody, please take a quick second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. Also, let's see. I want to see the little. Oh, I want to end the poll. So we got 66% of you that say Lakers got an F. 26% is a C. 2% a B. 7% an A. So we'll tally back here in a moment and see. So yeah, hit that poll. See what the end result is once we get closer. But whoops. AD 2020 was a different monster, bro. I was hitting threes and middies all day. Now it's inconsistent as hell. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Anthony Davis was like, I mean, he was making turnaround fadeaway threes at the buzzer over Jokic in 2020. 2020 Anthony Davis was a completely different monster. Completely different monster. Yeah, 2020 Anthony Davis, yeah. I mean, monster defensively, offensively, everything. For me, I still don't really want Levine, but I wouldn't be mad if we got him, if that makes sense. Yeah, I get it. Like, look, I'm not oblivious to the concerns. There's definitely concerns. There's definitely question marks. There's definitely things about it, right? Like, there's definitely like, but I just think, like, if you're going to take a gamble and end up being stuck regardless, you might as well take the gamble that gives you the best chance and has the least risk. And in my opinion, being able to keep your firsts give you the least long-term risk. Where if you go and trade 2 firsts for Jeremy Grant and it doesn't work, or he can't stay healthy or whatever, you're stuck. No one's going to take on that contract, right? His contract only gets worse. His contract's longer than Zach LaVine's, right? Like, Zach LaVine at least lines up with LeBron and AD, so you can just let him go. He'd also be an expiring in another year or whatever. So now you have like a $45 million expiring contract, right? And you'd have your picks. You'd have more at that point, right? Like, it just gives you so much more flexibility long term. Low key, this team is kind of good for now because some teams in the West got worse. For example, the Nuggets. Look, I have been preaching that. I am with you. No trades this season was underwhelming. We should have at least ended up with Clay or Giannis, bro. Yeah, I agree. Jonas Valanciunas. How much would Walker Kessler cost? I think that's the move. Problem is, we don't know exactly. I want Walker Kessler bad. Like, I've said, Zach LaVine is like if I tier it, Zach LaVine is my number 1. Walker Kessler is second. Just because he gives you a center now and the long term. Now you have your center for now and the future. And he's a guy that's good enough to have an impact right now. Problem is, we don't know exactly. Like, we know, like, the Knicks offered 2 firsts, right? So do they want more than that? Like, rumor is that they want multiple firsts, but how many is that? Is that 5? Is that 3? Is that, like, did they just turn down the Knicks picks because they just didn't like those picks, right? Where, maybe the Lakers for an unprotected first could get him, right? I think if the Lakers could have gotten Walker Kessler, I think they would have done it, right? Like, if they could have gotten him for a first, I think they would have done. Let's see. Am I wrong to think We are overhyping Max Christie like he's the next Kobe or something. Like you really think he will be that good? I don't think he'll be the next Kobe. Look, I've said I could see him as a like floor, like a KCP, 3-and-D 2 guard, right? That can make plays for himself, on occasion make plays for others, but primarily just that play defense at a high level and knock down the 3 ball. Now, will he be that this year? I don't know, right? Like, even if he's like half of what KCP is, that's huge, especially coming off the bench. I think his like potential ceiling, obviously, superstar. Maybe I don't want to put a cap, right? Maybe he'll be the next one, but I think best case scenario, he becomes like a smaller Paul George, right? Where he can make plays, he can defend multiple positions, right? Maybe he's not your best guy, but maybe as your second best guy, you can win a championship, right? Like all-star, star level type guy. Not necessarily superstar. I'm not talking he'll be top 15, top 10 or anything like that, but a guy that's like, okay, like this guy, you put another piece or two around him, you can win a championship with, right? Like something like that. I don't think he's like, the second coming of Kobe or something. Like, I don't think that. But you also never know, right? I mean, Kobe's first 2 years, he wasn't Kobe. Right? Like, you never really know, right? I mean, look at SGA and guys like that, they just emerge, right? Like, also, Max Christie hasn't really gotten the opportunity, right? Like, what does he look like on a team like Detroit, where he's getting 35 minutes a game and gets his shot attempts and all that stuff, right? Like, so I don't know. The problem is we just don't have enough sample size to really know, is Max Christie good or not. Can't really engage a lot when a guy's getting 3 field goal attempts per game, right? Like, it's hard to know, like, how good can he be offensively or not, right? And then defensively, there's an argument he's our second best perimeter defender, right? Like, I remember what he did against Damian Lillard. Go watch that game. I remember what he did in the bubble against Devin Booker. Like, he's a guy that is very versatile defensively, but can he continue to improve, right? Like, the jury's still out on him, in my opinion. We'll see. Us Lakers Nation are deriding Max Christie, but I see a potential in him. Very good 3-and-D 2 guard. But him being not like I said, not the next Kobe or anything. Like I said, I'm not going to put a cap on it because you never know. But like, if I had to bet, like, where do I think he'll be? I think he'll probably be like KCP 2.0, right? Defensive 3-and-D 2 guard that is or like an Alex Caruso type, right? Can defend basically 1 through 3. Excellent point of attack, can moves well, can hit shots, right? Put the ball on the deck, get a little thing going for himself, on occasion make plays for others, right? Like, that's what if I had to bet, that's probably where he'll be. Yeah, like a Derek White. Yeah, Derek White, Drew Holiday as like a peak type guy. I could see him like that. I mean, he does look like Kobe. I'll give people that. But Cole, you're talking about a top, at worst, 15 guy ever, right? I know everyone kind of has the rankings on where Kobe is differently, but like, at worst, you got to have him in your top 15, right? Like top 10, right? Like, it's just, everybody wants somebody to be top 10 all time. Like, that's not, that's very rare. Could be like, yeah, like a Danny Green type. Yeah, that's where, like, if I had to bet, that's where I would slot him as. Rui has to go. Was so poor in the playoffs. He was terrible in the playoffs. I want Rui to go just because I think he'll be better if he gets the opportunity on the right team. Like, his percentages are just unbelievable. The problem is, like, he needs to play the 4. He is a 4. He had his career night playing the 4 when LeBron was out this past season, right? Like, he's a 4 that has to play the 3 because of LeBron, right? If he can go to the right team and end up playing, the 4, I think he could be really good. Or for the Lakers, right? Like, if LeBron's like, fine, I'll play the 3, and you can slide Rui to the 4, then I think that, Rui would be much better. So I want him traded just because I think he can go to a better time. People hate Danny Green for no reason. Yeah. It's because the only loss in the Lakers Mamba jerseys was because Danny Green missed the game winner. But like the Lakers shouldn't yeah, he missed the game winner, but the Lakers didn't do their part, right? Like it shouldn't even have been that close. You smacked them on all the other games, but because he missed the game winner, people hate it. Let's see. We told you those. Oh, okay. Like I've said all offseason, they probably won't pull out the boot. Again, I don't report. Like I just relay the news, right? A lot of people seem to think that like I'm some like insider that's made. I see comments all the time where they're like, "Man, you're 0 for 100," and it's like, well, thank God they're not my predictions. Like I'm not predicting anything. I'm not out here telling you like, oh, I got inside news. Like I'm just a fan. All I do is there's news that drops or rumors or whatever, and I take that and I make a video and I talk about it and I give my opinion and then I pass it to you and I say, what do you think? It's YouTube. It's content. It's fun. We have conversations. Like I'm not Woj, right? Like I'm not some dude that has like all the like I don't know anybody. Like I'm not some insider. I'm just the guy. I take the new other people report, actual insiders, actual reporters, actual people like that, and then I relay that information. Right? That's all I do. I'm just a guy. Like so many people are like, man, like you clearly don't know anything. Like I don't. Like you're right, I don't. Like again, just a fan. Yeah, Blazers are tripping hard. And he was still the best 3-point shooter. And I hope you know that everyone is going to be against missed shots. Yeah. Like I said, I like Rui. I would love to keep Rui. I just think as long as Rui is on the Lakers. All right, let me rephrase. As long as Rui is on the Lakers with LeBron, Rui's never really going to get the real chance. And it's not one of those things where it's like, you're into LeBron. Like, it's nothing against LeBron. It's just at this stage of his career, he wants to play the 4. He's best at the 4 because it kind of lets him rest his body. But you have a guy in Rui who is best at the 4, right? So you have a guy that wants to play spot. And Anthony Davis wants to play more 4, right? So if that happens, then Rui's never going to get to play the 4, right? So that's the problem. 2 first, you know. Yeah, it's wild. I would do a first and pick. I wouldn't even give up picks. Well, I'd give up 1 first for Jeremy. I think Jeremy Grant does make us better. I just still think that there's a risk. I feel like Portland is saving us. I think Rob will strike gold by the deadline. Just make too much sense with the draft coming up. Good business is a rush. I agree. There are and I've said this before. I've said this in live streams. I've said this in videos. There are an abundance of rumors and potential. There's several teams that are going to make a trade at some point this season. There are more sellers than buyers. The thing is everyone's playing chicken right now. Everyone's doing the eye staring contest going like, who's going to blink first, right? Like eventually people are going to start dropping, right? And that's why I reiterate Rob's like, be patient, right? Like, so the more opportunity, the more players that are available, the more likely it is that the Lakers will get something done eventually, right? Now, the real question, in my opinion, is what if the Lakers are really good, right? What if the Lakers are like, by the trade deadline, let's say it's like 42 games. Say they're like 27-15. Right? Like, do you even make a move at that point? Right? I mean, obviously it depends on what it is, but like, no, or do you kind of just ride it and just hope maybe this year's different? Or like, what if they're really bad? Right? Like, what if you're, 15-27? Right? Like, is it even worth making a trade at that point? Right? I think depending on how the Lakers look moving forward, I think we'll change a lot. Change the subject. What do you think of the leaked RC? I think they're terrible. We haven't had a good city jersey in like years. Like yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I like that comparison, Tyler. I would love if he turned into a next KCP. Yeah, exactly. I think like, Danny Green, somebody said Danny Green earlier, like Danny Green, KCP type, like just solid 3-and-D, can defend 1 through 3, right? Hit the open shot. I mean, the guy shot 40% on catch and shoot threes, right? Like, it's good. It's really good. And he did it his rookie year too. So it's not like, oh, he's technically shot 39% last year, or 39.7% or something like that. But basically 40% on catch and shoot threes, 2 straight years. That's good, right? Because that's basically the role he's going to be playing this year. So I look at him as that KCP type. I think realistically, it's probably where he's at. Yeah, the entire treatment. That and you ruined it. He isn't worth 5 firsts anymore. And the first is a year. Tyler, no, he's not no Paul George. I didn't say he's a Paul George. Go back and listen to what I actually said. I didn't say that he's going to be Paul George, and I wasn't talking about this year. We're talking about long term. I said this year, hopefully, he can be half of what KCP is. I said in the future, I think his ceiling, I think the best he could be is like a Paul George, a smaller Paul George type. I didn't say he was going to be the second coming of Paul George. I said in the sense of like he can do a little bit of everything, right? Which we've seen. We've seen him be able to play defense, defend multiple positions. We've seen him be able to make the open shot. We've seen him be able to create for himself, create a little bit for others, rebound. Paul George, right? Like, just not 6'9" or whatever. That's why I said smaller is seal. Like best case scenario, I think he'll be a smaller Paul George. That's why I even said, like, I don't think he'll be the best player on a championship team. Like Paul George isn't the best player on a championship team, but as like your second with the right piece, yes. Or your third, absolutely. Right? Again, you got to actually listen to what I said. But I appreciate you nonetheless, Sandcast Girl. Ham will never see heaven, bro. I wasn't expecting that. I was watching highlights from last year, and I'm just thinking that Max could get into the game against the Hawks or something. 5 minutes. Well, that's the problem. Like, if everybody was healthy, I understand not playing Max Christie, but that wasn't the case last year, right? Like, Lakers desperately at times needed Max Christie, and yet Darvin Ham just like refused to play him. Booker, what's going on, buddy? Ham went out of his way to play Reddish over him, even in meaningless games. Shaking my head, yeah. Max Christie has the potential to be the next KCP, only role player at best. I don't know. I disagree. Is that the most likely scenario? Sure. Right? But again, we have not seen this kid really play meaningful, regular minutes. Right? Like Max Christie could play regular, meaningful minutes and be a bum. I don't know. Right? But it's hard to gauge how somebody really is when he plays half the season and it's randomly, and he only gets 3 field goal attempts per game, and he only plays, a handful of minutes a game, right? Like it's hard to, you play LeBron randomly 5 minutes. Like guys need to get into a rhythm. Guys need to get into a flow. Again, I don't know where Max Christie's been. Like I've said, I think he's most likely a KCP type player, but I'm not going to cap the kid, right? Like, SGA, when he was traded for Paul George, no one thought, like, people thought, like, what, man, all the picks, all this, like, man, like, Paul George went for a lot, but, man, like, no one's talking about him as a player. No one's like, oh, SGA, like, man, watch it, like, he emerged. Like, you see that a lot. Like, these young guys just emerge, right? They're dormant, they're quiet, they're in this situation, right? Like, what does he look like in Detroit? Right, what does he look like on a bad team where he gets minutes and he gets shot attempts and he gets those things? Right? Maybe he's terrible. Again, I don't know. But to say that, like, he has no, like, he'll be a role player at best. I mean, again, you're putting a ceiling on a guy that we just don't have enough information on. Really, only guy that I thought we could really use on a bargain was Gary Trent Jr., and even him was questionable. Yeah, I would have really at a vet minimum. Question is, like, where does he fit? Where does he slot in? But on a vet minimum, like, I just think you take that risk. Kel Bridges ruined the trade markets in New York. Thought he was worth 5 first. Bunch of clowns. Miguel Bridges first, second type of good. as a Lake fan. Isn't that why we stand pat this past trade deadline? Because we're going to have 3 firsts in the offseason to get a star, and we didn't. And we didn't get any free agents or made any trades. I mean, this offseason, yes, you're right. Like, I mean, but again, like, who's available that's worth trading for right now, right? Like, I mean, at the price that they want. Like, again, like that's the question you have to ask yourself. Like, I get the frustration. I get you're upset. But again, like, who right now is worth 3 firsts? Like, who right now is worth 2 firsts that's available right now? No one. There is no one available right now that is worth selling the farm for, right? There is no star available. There's nothing. The only guy that I really feel that they missed out on, like they should have done that, is the DeJounte Murray trade. All the other stuff, look, I was preaching for DeMar DeRozan. I like DeMar DeRozan. But I also said that it's very questionable. Right? And he ended up going to a team where he might make that team worse. The last thing Sacramento needed was a non-floor running. Go look at the pace of DeMar DeRozan teams. Like, go look at the pace of San Antonio, Toronto, and the Bulls. And look at the pace of Sacramento. They like lead the league in pace every year, or the top 3 every year. They also are like 2nd and 3rd in 3-point volume. And like, they went and got a guy that is best in isolation in the half court as a primary ball handler. They already have De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, right? Klay Thompson, even Mark Cuban in an interview talked about how he doesn't know how good Klay is going to be in their system and that they're not going to change the system, which when they traded for Klay, or technically traded, they signed Klay Thompson, but when they went and got Klay, I was like their offense makes no sense. And then Mark Cuban's over there trying to like justify it. Like, Klay, like, again, like, no trades have happened, period. And there's no one available that's worth the price. Again, I'm upset too. I'm bothered too. It's frustrating. I'm right there with you, Mr. 81. But same time, it's like you gotta look at the situation. It's like, who are they supposed to? You're better off just waiting. And no one thought that the Lakers were getting Dalton Connect. Nobody thought the Lakers were getting Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect was projected to go as high as like 5th, I think, in the draft. Right? Like, and he was around 7th. But like the consensus was like he'll be a top 7 to 10 pick. And he fell all the way to 17th. Like, the Lakers probably would have traded that pick if it wasn't for that. Like, whoever else they drafted probably would have gotten traded or would be in the trade market. Consistent and disappointed. I don't want to trade Rui, but he lost my trust. I can't trust him doing the right thing after he fell asleep, guarding Michael Porter Jr. in a crucial moment. Yeah, that's the problem. But that's the problem. He's not a 3. Like, I don't really blame Rui as much as I blame Darvin Ham playing him in a position that doesn't work. Look, I screamed it all offseason. Or not offseason, all season. Sorry. Even when the Lakers were 9-0 with that starting unit, I came on a live stream and I was like, what are they going to do when the offense doesn't work? Right? What are they going to do when it's tight in the playoffs? Like, I kept saying over and over and over and over again, what would happen? And we played Denver, and literally, again, it's all on camera. Everything that I said is documented. It's all on camera. And I was screaming, like, they're not going to, like, as soon as that offense halts, Lakers are screwed. When the offense halted, and boom, Denver came sweeping in. But when the offense was cooking, they're great. When the offense is cooking, Lakers are up 20. Right? But as soon as they hit that wall, every game, they hit that wall. And Denver just boom, 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 boom. And then they just ended up winning. Right? Because they can't stop anybody. Right? Rui can't defend the perimeter. Lakers are terrible rebounding the basketball. Why? Because our perimeter guys are too slow and non-athletic. Teams were jacking up threes on us. Every night was a career night for somebody from 3-point range. Why? Because we couldn't defend the perimeter. Teams are jacking up threes, which lead to long rebounds, and we don't have the foot speed out on the perimeter to track it down. Right? So teams are just tracking it down. Like, I only got to outrun Rui, Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell. I could probably outrun Rui, Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell. Right? Now you're talking about actual athletic wings and guards. Right? Like, our problem was very specific. The problem is like Jared Vanderbilt's hurt now, and the roster still kind of didn't solve and address those needs. So how is JJ Redick going to really be able to make a difference? at least in those areas, right? I think offensively, just actions and stuff will be better. I think defense will be better overall, but I love Danny Graham. Miss him a lot. Yeah. A lot of people still think the GM approved all the trades and moves, and the owner just sits there and nothing else. I think people should hear the Code to Chicago is a done deal, but the owner declined it. Yeah. Look, Rob Pelinka had a deal done. It was finalized, about to be submitted to the league for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and Jeannie Buss vetoed it. Rob Pelinka's had three trades that Jeannie has vetoed, right? Like, they turned down and did the Westbrook trade. Like, look, Rob Pelinka's working on all these other moves. And then Jeannie was like, oh, do the trade, right? Like, but this is why I've talked about, like, people are like, fire Rob. For who? People will be like Bob Myers. Why in the world would Bob Myers want to come to the Lakers and listen to Jeannie Buss tell him what he can and cannot do? Because Jeannie Buss goes and talks to Kurt and Linda Rambis, and those two go, like, no respectable GM is going to want to go to the Lakers and be told how to do their job. And I've said it before. If you don't believe, as Jeannie, if you don't believe Rob Pelinka is the right guy for the job and doesn't know how to do his job well enough for you to just stay out of it, then fire him and bring someone in that you do. But stay out of it. The problem is Jeannie Buss wants to micromanage everything. Rob Pelinka, like, people are always like, why do you defend Rob Pelinka so much? Because I don't know what he is as a GM. When every time he makes a move, he has to get approval from Jeannie, and half the time Jeannie's vetoed it, right? But he missed out on Kawhi and put a championship roster together and won. Next year, he literally upgraded the roster, and if it wasn't for injuries, probably win another championship and go back to back. Then he had deals and was working on deals for Buddy Hield, trying to get DeMar DeRozan, doing all these other stuff. And then LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook went to Anthony Davis's house. Again, this is all public news. Go to Anthony Davis's house and talk about playing together, and call Jeannie and tell Jeannie, hey, we want you to trade for Russell Westbrook. So Jeannie tells Rob to go trade for Russell Westbrook. He trades for Russell Westbrook. Then all we heard all season long is the Lakers are stuck with Russell Westbrook. They're never going to be able to trade him. It's going to take 2 firsts just to unload Russell Westbrook. That's not counting getting players back, this, that, and the other. And then lo and behold, Rob Pelinka literally does an entire roster rehaul, all while giving up one protected first, not unprotected, one protected first, and ends up pulling it off. We're also in the offseason had a deal done for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, which I still to this day believe they should have done, even over the Vando, D'Lo, and Beasley trade, which, I know we got to conference finals, but Miles Turner is like everything we need right now. But I digress, right? Like, literally, Rob Pelinka, and look, I'm not saying he's been perfect, like we talked about earlier. Like, the second round picks, like the way he signed them, like, it's literally called the Rob Pelinka deal, right? Like, the Rob Pelinka rule, right? Rob Pelinka, giving these player options, like, he's far from a perfect GM, don't get me wrong, but he's had more success than most of these GMs already. People talk about Sam Presti like he is God of GMs, and the guy hasn't done anything. The guy hasn't won or proven anything, and he's had some of the most talent out of any team ever in the last 10 years or 15 years, whatever, and yet has nothing to show for it. Nothing. Lakers have won multiple times in that time. Have won with Rob Pelinka as the GM. Again, Rob Pelinka, I understand the frustration, right? I understand. I'm not saying he's a perfect GM, but it's hard to be a good GM when your owner micromanages and dictates everything you do. What respected GM would ever want to do that? Why would Bob Myers, where he had full control, say in everything with the Warriors, go to the Lakers and have to work side by Jeannie Buss, who in interviews is like, I can't even talk about the basketball side. She never wants to talk about the basketball side of things, right? Why? Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know anything, right? She's trusting Linda and Kurt Rambis to know everything, and they've proven time and time again they're clueless. What has Kurt Rambis done in his NBA after his NBA career, right? He's a failed head coach, failed GM. Like, what are we talking about? Anyway, rant's over. Let's see. I love Danny Green. I miss him. I get in the moment. I was mad at him too, but was a great addition to the team. Yeah, he was great. Um, I need us to have a D'Lo Bruce Brown backcourt. The more I think of it, I have said the same thing. The more that I think of Bruce Brown, the more I like him slotted. I mean, I like him slotted next to Reeves also, but man, I the problem is they're not going to trade Reeves, and D'Lo is closer to the contract. Like you'd have to trade like Reeves and Rui to get Bruce Brown. Where you'd have to trade like D'Lo and like a vet minimum guy, and then you get Bruce Brown. We got dudes like Franz Wagner making 225 million in 5 years. You should be yeah, exactly. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, I appreciate that. You're just a fan like us. The difference is you make content. That's why I like you. Exactly. Said it perfectly, Jones. Said it perfectly. That's literally all I am. I'm a fan, and I've said this numerous times. I am a fan that is blessed enough to have built an audience that wants to talk, build a community that wants to communicate, right? Like I'm blessed. I'm very thankful. I'm very appreciative of all of you. Like I love it. Right? That's why I like doing these live streams and stuff, right? You know, like because I want to do the community. I know I don't really do them as much in the off season, just because like I do so many in the regular season. It's nice to like kind of take a break. I still do videos every day and all that stuff, but I do. I'm very thankful. But so many people, I get comments regularly that are like, man, you really sure you're terrible with your prediction? Like they're not. Again, if you watch the videos, I tell you, I say sources say or report from this guy or report from that guy, right? Like, and if it is something that I personally think, like, hey, like like the Rui trade a couple years ago, I say I could see, or me personally, or my opinion, or whatever. I always make sure to leave that distinction because I don't want there to be confusion. I want people to know I'm just a fan. Literally, like you said yourself, right? The only difference between me and you is I make content. It's literally it. Like you're spot on. Like this comment sums me up beautifully, right? Just a fan that makes content, and I'm blessed. I am. I'm very thankful that I get to have an audience and people that actually want to listen to what I have to say, whether you agree, disagree. Like I always say, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's beautiful. I love it. Even if you think I'm an idiot, right? As long as you want to be respectful and have a conversation, like I love it. I love it because that's what it's about. It's just like being at a bar or like a sports book or something. And you're just like shooting the shit with people and screaming at each other and disagreeing and agreeing. Like I love it. I love that. That's what this is all about. Thoughts on the rotation. Personally, if it was me, all right, let's start with JJ Redick. So I think that JJ, more likely than not, will probably run it the same five as last year because, like, you have Vanderbilt injured, Christian Wood, stuff like that. So I think it'll probably still be D'Lo, Reeves, Rui, LeBron, and AD. I think that'll be your five because also it's trusted. You can work with it. Plus, JJ seems very sure that he can make Rui a better rebounder. So I think that they'll go with that starting five. And then I think it'll be Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt when he gets back. But for right now, probably Dalton Connect, Christian Wood when he gets back, and then Jackson Hayes or Koloko. If it was me, I'll give what I would do, and then I'll give what the Lakers front office would probably allow me to do. What I would do is I would put Reeves to the bench, and I would go D'Lo, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Right now, you got your point of attack guy at the two that can defend multiple positions and gives you better shooting percentage on catch and shoot than Austin Reeves gave you last year. I get Jared Vanderbilt to balance out the offense and the defense. Still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? If for whatever reason Max Christie isn't working, then I just slide D'Lo to the two and then bring Gabe Vincent in and hope he can pick up his 3-point shooting. Boom, there you go, right? And then, but the Lakers aren't going to let me do that. So I would do, I'd do D'Lo, Reeves, Vando, LeBron, and AD. It was still our best. It just problem is we didn't get to see it much last season, but it was still our best 5-man unit. It's the unit that got us to the conference finals. And then your rotation is just Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Rui Hachimura, Christian Wood, and Jackson Hayes. Or I'd probably go with Rui Hachimura at the 4, ideally, and then go with like Connect or Reddish at times, whatever, however you want to approach it. But yeah, anyway. Let's see. Deadline, D'Lo is cinema, yeah. Trade deadline, yeah, he's probably gone. Releasing Blake Henson kind of bothered me. I am with you. Also, he also signed with the Warriors. What's up, AIS? This team is 32-win team. Let's stop being delusional and start getting real. How do they go from 32 wins to 47 wins? Or for 47 wins to 32 wins? LeBron is 41 and 80, needs help on the inside, and Koloko is not the answer. I agree Koloko is not the answer, but how does a team go from 47 wins with an incompetent head coach, being like second in the league with injuries, and on top of that, having I already said a competent head coach, right? And have inconsistencies from Reeves and all these other guys, right? Like now you're probably getting better at all that. Like I can see, like if you were like, I think that they're like a 42-win team, I'd probably be like, okay, like I can understand that. But 32 wins? 32 wins is crazy. Like you're talking about them being like last in the West. I mean, seriously, right? Like what were the standings last year? 32 games is crazy. You're talking about them not even being a play-in team. Like, again, like, and then you followed that. What's even worse is you followed that up by saying, let's stop being delusional. What was the standings? Because I know like who was it? The Spurs only won like 22 games. So based on last season, you're talking about the Lakers going from winning 47 games and being the 7th seed to dropping all the way down to who had 32? Like the Utah Jazz. Yeah, literally. The Utah Jazz. That's wild. Again, like I don't know how you come to that conclusion. Yeah, I have no idea how you come to that conclusion. Again, like, yeah, that's wild. Yeah, like I said, 32 wins. Come on, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's little crazy. I miss Tyler the Yapper. Absolutely. I mean, it's what I do for a living, right? Like, it's like my job. It's crazy. Crazy. It's almost like I'm a YouTuber. Just my opinion. We don't need Colin Castleton at all. If we had AD, Hayes, Koloko, rather keep Henson. I agree. I said that if I was the Lakers, I would have released. Hey, what are you chewing on? Dude? Hey, quit chewing stuff. Quit chewing stuff. Thank you. Quit chewing that. Thank you, baby. Hey, no, it's not a cue to come sit on my lap. You're good right there. Thank you. My dog's like sitting right here chewing on a little air thing. And get sick. Sorry, where was I? Just my opinion. We do not need Colin Castleton at all. If we had, okay, so that's where we're. Yeah, I was saying that we shouldn't have traded, or not traded, released, and so I would have released Castleton. Let's see. I swear, if at the press conference I hear the words, "Well, the CBA is really hard to navigate," you know that's what's coming. You know that's what's going. Thinking outside the box. Yeah. Look, it comes with the territory, right? What's the saying? If you don't have haters, you're not doing it right. The thing that I think is funny is like, I get so many comments of like, enough. I don't want to hear any trade videos, blah, 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 blah. But like, I make other videos and none of those people ever comment on those videos. None of those people ever watch them. Like I say all the time, like people are always like, oh, like you should talk about others. I do. Just no one ever watches them. Like I made 5 straight videos that weren't trade videos and they all got like 1,000 views. And then you look at the trade videos and they all get like 5 to like whatever. Right. So like everybody that like complains about it, they still watch them. Like, that's what I think is funny. It's like you're complaining about something that you regularly still watch. But then, like, the thing that you say you want me to do, I do. I still do it. When there's news, I talk about it. When there's things, I talk about it. I'm even starting to dive into player breakdowns, get no views, like none. And people are like, oh, like, yeah, but the trade videos, it's like, well, you guys just keep watching. Like, why would I make something that no one wants to watch? Right? Like, it's crazy. But anyway, I digress. Max Christie's ceiling is PG, but floor now is Danny Green keeps to be. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Tyler is a fan like us. Stop acting like he is the one pushing the button on the trades, telling us what he knows and is always up to date. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's my point. I'm just the guy staring at a screen, asking it to love me. I saw a close-up video of Ham coaching, and man, it's hard to watch. Yes. I don't know how he's got to be a coach. I could do better at coaching Ham, all of us better than Ham coaching. The thing that's crazy to me is like he had times and stretches where he was actually very good, right? Like the in-season tournament, he was actually very good. The first 2 rounds of the playoffs, he's very good. It's like why I've talked about, like, as long as, like, picture a box, right? As long as Ham could stay inside that box, he looked great. Right? As long as he didn't have to make any adjustments and could just follow the manual, so to speak, right? He actually was very good. As soon as he had to get out of that box, he just had no clue. And you saw it 2 straight years, right? We go and we play the Grizzlies, run through the Grizzlies. Darvin Ham looks great. Out coaching, what's his name? Jorgen or whatever, right? And then we go and we play the Warriors and is like actively out coaching Steve Kerr. Literally, Steve Kerr throws something out there, boom. Darvin Ham responds, like, look great. It was like, dude, let's go. And then we ran into Denver and he had no way, like, he just he just got out coached. Like Mike Malone was like, oh man, this guy's terrible. And just like made no real adjustments till it was too late. Didn't do anything. It was just crazy. And then we played Denver this year and he did the same thing, right? Like, and he never addressed all the inconsistencies, right? Every game, literally, if all 5 games ended at halftime, the Lakers would have swept the Nuggets. But in the second half, we lost every one of those games. Why? Because of coaching, right? All teams lose. Like, if the Lakers game 2 were up 20 and lost, and that was the end of it, then that's different. But it literally happened in game 1. It happened in game 3. Game 5, right? Like, it's just like, oh, like, that's coaching. Because one team went in at halftime and one team made adjustments and the other team didn't. Like, it's that simple. Yeah, he went to the Bucks. Yeah, it's huge for a second round pick. What a breath of fresh air it is when that tweet Ham was fired. It was like, don't mean it yet. The new era begins. I actually think JJ Redick's going to be very good as a coach, right? Could he have his little hiccups early on? Possibly. It's probably more likely. But I actually really believe in JJ Redick. Like I always said, I'm not worried about the on-court stuff. I'm more worried about like just everything else that goes on behind the scenes as a head coach. Because it's more than just like X's and O's and, drawing up plays, calling timeouts. People act like we only have 2 firsts. We have 2 firsts and swaps to work with as well. Yes. But it also depends on what teams are willing to take, too. I saw people calling Steve Kerr horrible for playing 3 and 4 guard lineups in the Olympics. Meanwhile, we had Russ Ham playing 5 guard lineup. Yep. But that's the thing. Like, I actually defended Ham on occasion, right? Like, on the guard line. Well, first off, when he ran the 4 guard lineups, like that, we only had guards, right? Like, we literally was like Patrick Beverly, Kendrick Dunn, Russell Westbrook, right? Like Taylor Horton, like our entire team was guards. So it was like kind of like, what is he supposed to do, right? Like, and then like he would like people would be like, which I understand because of the like all guard lineups, people like were like petrified. But every team in the league runs 3 guard lineups, right? I mean, even the Nuggets, right? Like, will go like Jamal Murray, KCP, and like Christian Brown, right? Like, or they'll go like, what was it, Reggie Jackson, Christian Brown, and KCP. Like, even with Bruce Brown, when they had Bruce Brown, like every team runs 3-guard lineups. It's just there's differences, right? When all your guards are 6 feet, it's a big difference than when all your guards are like 6'5", 6'6", right? Yeah, Dalton. Yeah, facts. The Lakers didn't even work him out because they thought that nobody, even Dalton, didn't believe he was going to fall that far. To me, Clay to the Mavs is just Tim Hardaway Jr. Reskin. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, you can make an argument Tim Hardaway Jr. obviously not shooting the basketball, but like just as a like natural scorer is probably better at this stage than Clay is. No, he's not a 3, but that's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that. Our perimeter defense is terrible, man. We really need Bando. I agree. Trade right now would be nice. Yeah, that's my hope is that Cam Reddish can be back to what he was last season before the injuries. Fire Rob for anyone. Yeah, but again, it's not. It's what does Genie allow is the problem. Everybody not named LeBron 80 Reeves can go. Tyler, package everyone up into a nice, sweet little package and go get Lillard at the deadline or a Kyrie and roleplay. Like I've said, I would even trade a Reeves. I think everybody not named LeBron James and Anthony Davis are tradable. You don't just trade them just to trade them. Like I wouldn't just trade Reeves for fun, but like if the deal makes sense, you do it. Right? Like even LeBron and Anthony Davis, I don't think are untrade. Like no, like there's like 3 guys in the league that are truly untradeable. Right? LeBron James. I love LeBron James. I don't want to see LeBron get traded, but like if we could get Wemby, right? Like, yeah. Like, if San Antonio hit their head and they were like, hey, we'll trade you LeBron for Wemby. Like, thank you. Like, same thing with like Anthony Davis. Like, if you could trade him for like Jokic right now, like you wouldn't do that. Like, there's like very few guys. Like, no one is untradeable. LeBron and AD are the closest to that, but I think everybody should be on the market. Sam Presti traded James Harden for Jeremy Lamb and Steven Adams. That's what I'm saying. Like, so many people are like, oh, like there's that. It's like he's done more than 90% of the league. Did you see I did not update Bruce Brown today. He had surgery. I did not see that. That's what somebody was saying earlier. Exactly, Tyler. Please tell him. 32 is great. That's what I'm saying. 32 is wild. Like if he was like, I see them winning like 40 games or like 39 games or something, like sure, but let's see. Switching sports, did you see Shuey yesterday? Yeah, he hit 51-51. It's crazy. We'd be a 50 and up win team if Darvin Ham wasn't good. Last year, yeah, 100%. The Lakers, after the in-season tournament, literally lost 10 out of 13 games. 10 out of 13 games. If the Lakers win half of those, just half, the Lakers would have been the 4th seed last year. Right? They would have had 42 wins? Let's see. They're not winning anything with Reeves starting, to be honest. I prefer to move him to the as a 6th man. We are not having 32 wins, not making the play, and stop being silly yet. Lakers are quick until they make a move. I don't know. I really think, again, better health, better consistency, better coaching. Look, I've talked about this before. Like, we can't say Darvin Ham is responsible for losses, but JJ Redick, if he's good, won't be responsible for wins, right? Like, if coaching either impacts or doesn't, right? Now, I don't think coaching is the be-all, end-all, right? Like I even defended Darvin Ham last year when it was warranted, right? Like Darvin Ham isn't responsible for Rui Hachimura forgetting how to play basketball in the playoffs, right? Like Darvin Ham isn't responsible for D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves shooting 28% from three, right? Like you look at stuff like that, like there's certain things that I don't care how good, like, people would say like, oh, but if you had like, no, like we could have prime Phil Jackson and Pat Riley married into one person. And if the players don't show up and play and the players don't do their part, then it's irrelevant, right? You could have the best preparation, best everything. If the players don't do their part, you're not winning anything. It's just a reality, right? But coaching is important for things. I'm not even specifically you, Andrew. I know I kind of have your comment up, but my rant period is just like, yeah, like I do think the Lakers will be better. Yeah, the Prince curse. I watched. I'll just put them in the background when I do work with the video game. Oh, it must be your response. Somebody else. If Westbrook starts shooting like Curry against the Lakers, someone cursed the Lakers, probably the Nuggets effect. Ham ran a lineup of Lonnie, Russ, Pat, Bev, Dennis, and Reeves at center. Yeah. Tyler's probably the most sane Laker fan. Thank you. I appreciate it. I like to think I am. Like I try. Like obviously, there's an inherent bias because I'm a Laker fan, but I try to like look at it from all sides. I try to like understand perspective and stuff, but Anyway, I'm gonna skate on out here. Been going hour and a half. I got to the end of the chat and all that stuff. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Like I said, we're gonna get back into more live streams, do the post game streams and all that stuff. Do some watch along streams, just general streams in general. I really need to like set a day to just like have us all hang out. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know this is like we usually do these streams later too. But I just had time. So I was like, let me go do a live stream. I got like an hour. But yeah, I appreciate you guys as always. You guys are awesome. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button on the way out, please. If you're not subscribed, of course. And look forward to the other videos. And we're inching closer to the season. Season's right there. Training camp is the 30th. Training camp is the 30th. We have a presser with Palinka and Rob on the 25th. And then we have we have training camp on October 1st. And then, media day. There we go. Presser, 25th. Media day on the 30th. Training camp day 1. First practice is October 1st. First game of preseason is the 4th against Minnesota. There we go. Now I'll skate out of here. I appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.